All right, your time is 4:28. We want to get to our Troy Kless, who is live at Transtar for us right now.
Yeah, Steph, we're here where many staff are watching the storm closely and keeping up with the information, relaying it to keep you safe at home as well. I'll bring in meteorologist Jeff Lindner. And so as this storm has made landfall, what impacts are we going to expect within Harris County in the next several hours?
Yeah, the biggest impact we're getting into right now is the rainfall coming in from the south. So we are starting to get some heavy rain in the southern part of Harris County, moving up from Brazoria and Galveston County. Rainfall rates 1 to 2 inches with this band coming in, so we could get some street flooding. And the second is the wind. We're starting to see those stronger winds move further to the north. So 40, 50, 60 mile an hour winds going to be moving into the metro area here over the next couple of hours. You know, this is the time where we really need people to be indoors and hunkered down here. And this is going to continue. We're going to see these deteriorating conditions through the morning, through about mid to late morning, and then we'll start to see some improvements. Down on the coast, we still have storm surge. The tide is coming up. The water levels are coming up, especially in Galveston Bay now. We're going to be going towards high tide this morning after the sun comes up through about midday. That, with this really strong wind pushing the water toward the coast, is going to push those tide levels up. And so we are getting coastal flooding. We have coastal flooding that y'all been showing down there along the beaches. We're going to start getting some of that here in the Bay and in southeast Harris County, around Kemah and Seabrook and the Clear Lake area.
So you just mentioned those areas, and the judge mentioned last night shouldn't be as bad as other previous storms. But again, what if any extent of damage should people be expecting?
I think the majority of what we're probably going to see is wind impacts with this, potentially some flooding impacts. We'll see how much rain we get and where we have the heaviest rain. But this really looks like wind, and when I say wind, we're talking about down trees, tree limbs, power outages, down power lines, that type of wind, not roofs torn off, not windows blown out, but the kind of wind damage you get with a severe thunderstorm. But it's going to be over a very large area. So all of the metro area, all of the surrounding counties, I mean, we've seen these wind reports down on the coast, 89, 75, 89 miles an hour at Palacios and Matagorda this morning. And so that is going to be pushing into the metro area as we get into the next few hours or so. So we're just sort of getting into this. I know it feels like we've been dealing with this for a long time on the coast. We've been seeing pictures down there all night. It's now going to get further north and into the metro area. So it's still coming. It's working its way up here, and we really need people to be paying attention and staying where they're at here through about noon, 1 o'clock today.
You've been watching, this storm obviously since, the formation. And what have you noticed that has stood out to you as it's, in this past couple of hours, as it's approaching the Texas coast? What stood out to you about this storm?
Well, I think anybody who's looked at the radar recently has really noticed how that eye of this has really come out, and you can really tell this is, we wrap thunderstorms all the way around that eye. So this Beryl was definitely strengthening as it came up to the Texas coast, and luckily it's running out of water. It's made landfall now, and so that is going to stop. But the forward speed and how organized it is going to carry these strong winds further inland, so pretty far inland. And we're even talking about areas that typically maybe wouldn't be worried about hurricane conditions up in Montgomery County and Walker County, areas far inland that could get some decently strong winds here today. And so, we've been kind of watching it, and it was very slowly developing, but it finally did get its act together as it came up to the coast. And then, if you just think about, we've been talking about Beryl now for, 7-8 days. And really the big track changes we had in the Gulf of Mexico Friday to today. Friday, 4th of July, we were looking at a South Texas, Northeast Mexico landfall, and here we are having a tropical storm and hurricane in Houston on Monday.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned, the next, 9+ hours is going to be the timing that, Harris County residents are going to have to be very careful about where they're going. Again, what's the key message to them right now as we're watching this storm?
The key message is stay where you're at. We will assess the situation, see how our roadway systems are. We could have down trees and down power lines, and we could have some flooding as we get into late morning and midday. So we're asking everybody to stay where they're at until we can assess the situation and give kind of the all clear, if you will, to kind of go out and about. The second thing is be very careful. So we know we're going to have debris and stuff on the roads. be especially careful with power lines. So if you see a down power line, stay away from those. Report that to CenterPoint. They will be aware of the outages, but stay away from any down power lines and just be very careful. And then we will assess what the situation looks like here as we get through the morning hours and see what exactly impacts we've had. Is the wind impact more significant? We have a lot of down trees blocking roads, or do we have water on the roadways from the heavy rain? So we'll just see. We could have both, and it could be different in different areas. So if you do get out later this afternoon, be very careful because it could be very different as you drive around.
Wind, heavy rain, and again, reminding people to stay safe and stay inside while this storm is still with us. Thank you very much, Jeff Lindner. So again, we'll send it back to you guys, but again, we're going to be here in the Emergency Operations Center throughout the morning, getting updates, and once we receive them, we'll share them with you as well. We'll send it back.